Welcome to Minghui Radio's Falun Gong News, direct from China and around the world. Topics include news about the persecution of Falun Gong in China, local events, and special items of interest. Now for this week's stories.
USA. Around May 13th, every year, Falun Dafa practitioners all over the world celebrate World Falun Dafa Day and the birthday of Master Li, the founder of the practice, through a variety of activities, including parades, rallies, cultural performances, and demonstrations of the exercises. This year, 2 huge 80-foot by 40-foot banners bearing the message, Falun Dafa is good, were towed by a small airplane in the skies over New York City twice, once for May 13th observances, and the other to commemorate the 1999 peaceful appeal in China on April 25th. The flight path extended from New York Harbor over the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and Governor's Island, all the way to the George Washington Bridge in northern Manhattan. On May 13th, about 2,000 practitioners in the greater New York area held a grand parade in Manhattan. The procession was led by the Tianguo Marching Band and was followed by Falun Dafa floats, exercise demonstrations, a dragon dance, a lion dance, waist drums, and banners. Spectators captured images at the 3-hour event and ordered a thumbs up to show their support.
South Korea. Locals and tourists learned about Falun Dafa during a World Falun Dafa Day celebration on Wangwamun Square, Seoul on May 11th. This location is where major cultural events are held. Practitioners did the Falun Dafa exercises in the morning, drawing the attention of passers-by. Some people followed along while others accepted flyers. The Tianguo Marching Band performed at 11 a.m., and many passers-by stopped to listen. Officials from the South Korean Falun Dafa Association gave speeches. A lively parade commenced at noon and included the band, practitioners demonstrating the exercises, a large replica of the book Zhuan Falun, a waist drum team, practitioners carrying banners with information about the CCP's persecution, and information about how millions of Chinese have quit the CCP and its affiliated organizations. People lined both sides of the parade route. A middle-aged man said, "I traveled to China and saw people practicing Falun Gong in a park. I didn't know the persecution is ongoing." After being told about the Falun Gong Protection Act in the U.S. Congress, he accepted a flyer and said he would learn more.
South Africa. A photo exhibition called Falun Dafa Around the World was held in South Africa at the Rondebosch Library, located in Cape Town's southern suburbs, on May 13th and 14th. The event was held to celebrate World Falun Dafa Day on May 13th and introduce the practice's principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance to the public. Housed in the former Rondebosch Town Hall Heritage Building, the library boasts an elegant interior with teak stairways, windows, and high ceilings. It is a popular spot for local residents to read and relax, with a panoramic view of the famous Table Mountain from the second floor. The photos exhibition's gentle music was set up in a corner of the library lobby and attracted the attention of many library visitors. Some browsed through the photos, while others sought further information about Falun Dafa. Amid the peaceful and warm atmosphere, many visitors expressed their support and appreciation of the practice.
USA. The U.S. Department of Justice announced on May 11th that Eileen Wong, the Chinese-American mayor of Arcadia, California, was charged by federal prosecutors with acting as a Chinese Communist Party agent and that she pled guilty. According to information released by the Department of Justice, Ms. Wong, 58, was charged with 1 felony for acting as an illegal agent of a foreign government, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. The U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, and federal prosecutors stated that this case reflects the Chinese government's continued attempts to influence U.S. democratic institutions and local politics through proxies. Officials from the FBI's Counterintelligence Division emphasized that anyone secretly representing a foreign government to influence the democratic process in the U.S. will be investigated and prosecuted according to the law. Assistant Director Roman Rozovsky of the FBI's Counterintelligence and Espionage Division said, "Let this serve as a clear warning. Individuals who act on behalf of foreign governments to influence our democracy will be identified, investigated, and brought to justice."
France. Practitioners shared the goodness of Falun Dafa on May 15th in the neighborhood of Belleville, Paris's Chinatown. They exposed the 27-year persecution by the Chinese Communist Party, which includes forced organ harvesting and transnational repression in the international community. A street market was being held that day, and the streets were teeming with people. The Falun Dafa practitioners' exercise demonstrations garnered attention. After learning more about the brutal persecution at the Falun Dafa booth, visitors expressed their enthusiastic support and signed a petition calling for its end.
Scotland. The city of Edinburgh is the capital of the country and a popular destination for tourists from around the world. On Saturday in mid-April, Falun Gong practitioners held an event on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh opposite the Old City Hall. Tourists from the US, Japan, Spain, Poland, Ireland, and Australia learned about Falun Gong's principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, and that the spiritual discipline is practiced around the world. A tourist from Japan exclaimed, "I'm so glad to see Falun Gong here. My parents practice, and this is the first time I've seen Falun Gong outside of Japan." He said he was impressed to see many Western practitioners and repeatedly exclaimed, "Awesome." Booth visitors also learned about the CCP's shocking persecution of the practice and signed a petition to end it.
USA. Congressional Representative James Walkinshaw of Virginia spoke in the U.S. House of Representatives on May 13th to recognize Falun Dafa Month and the contributions of Falun Dafa practitioners in communities across Virginia and throughout the United States. He said in part, "Since being introduced in Virginia, practitioners have shared the practice through free events and community engagement efforts across the region. In Northern Virginia, Falun Dafa practitioners have participated in local festivals, parades, celebrations that help strengthen community connections and promote greater cultural understanding. Their outreach and volunteer efforts have become a familiar part of many community events throughout our region." He continued, "This recognition also serves as an opportunity to reaffirm the importance of religious freedom and the right of individuals to practice their beliefs peacefully and openly."
Slovakia. The cheerful sound of waist drums attracted many passers-by in the main square of the capital city of Bratislava on May 10th. The performance was part of a World Falun Dafa Day celebration. Falun Gong practitioners from Slovakia, Hungary, and the Czech Republic also demonstrated the Falun Dafa exercises and introduced the practice to passers-by. Several members of the Slovak parliament attended the event to show their support, and many passers-by stopped to talk. While people commended the practice's positive spiritual values, they also expressed their dismay at the CCP's persecution. They expressed their hope that justice will ultimately prevail, and some signed a petition against the persecution. In his address at the event, Slovak Member of Parliament Andrej Dostal said, "The history of modern democracy in Slovakia began in November 1989. At the forefront of that democratic movement was Václav Havel. His most famous quote is, 'Truth and love must triumph over lies and hatred.' Essentially, this is very similar to the struggle between good and evil in fairy tales. And it also echoes the message we see on a banner here. The world needs truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance."
USA. An annual Mother's Day parade took place in the city of Chester, Pennsylvania on May 10th. Practitioners were invited to join in. The president of the City Council of Darby, Delaware County, Lucille Pratt, said of the practitioners' waist drum team, "They are outstanding. I really like it. Their costumes are vibrant and they are full of energy. They are beautiful. Please continue to keep up such excellent performances." Elsewhere, Falun Dafa practitioners and their families from the southeastern states of Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina gathered at Shorty Howell Park in Duluth, a northern suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, on May 10th to celebrate World Falun Dafa Day. Governmental officials from 3 cities and 2 counties in Georgia issued proclamations or certificates in honor of the occasion. Practitioners did the exercises, read the event's opening remarks in Chinese, English, and Vietnamese, introduced the practice to passers-by, and came together to sing the song Falun Dafa is Good with live musical accompaniment.
The following are selected cases of persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China. Mr. Lu Wansheng was left in critical condition in April when he was released from a 6-year prison sentence for practicing Falun Gong. He died 8 days later on April 29th. He was 71. Mr. Lu of Liaoning province remained in a coma in his final days. There were only a few brief moments when he appeared to hear his loved ones talking to him, but he was unable to move or utter a word. He had wounds on both his ankles and wrists, which may have been caused by being handcuffed and shackled to a bed in prison. Mr. Lu's wife, also a Falun Gong practitioner, became ill after he was sentenced to 6 years in 2020. She succumbed to the mental distress and died around 2024. The couple are survived by their only son, who struggles with depression and is unable to work after witnessing the persecution his parents endured over the last 27 years.
A 79-year-old retired teacher in Hubei province was sentenced to 2 years in April for practicing Falun Gong. Ms. Liu Juha was arrested last year and was later indicted and convicted. Ms. Liu previously served 3 forced labor terms and 1 prison term, totaling 9 years for practicing Falun Gong. In her latest prison sentence, the prosecutor cited her second forced labor term and her prior prison term as evidence against her and accused her of being a repeat offender. Ms. Liu is a teaching academic who has published dozens of academic papers and won many awards. After the CCP ordered the persecution of Falun Gong in 1999, Ms. Liu was subjected to brutal torture while serving time in a forced labor camp. She suffered 2 mental breakdowns and almost died. In addition to being incarcerated, Ms. Liu's daughter was forced by her school to drop out of college in her junior year. Ms. Liu's mother was so traumatized that she stopped eating and passed away in 2013.
67-year-old Mr. Li Dechuan of Jiling City was arrested in 2024 and has been sentenced to 6 years for practicing Falun Gong. Mr. Li and his younger brother, Mr. Li Deshang, both started to practice Dafa before the start of the persecution, when a fortune teller looked at them and said, "You are kind-hearted people. I have read the book Zhuan Falun, and you should take a look at it." After the persecution started in July 1999, the brothers remained firm in their faith and were repeatedly targeted. Mr. Li Dechuan was given 2 prison terms totaling 10 years prior to his latest sentencing, and Mr. Li Deshang served 2 4-year prison terms. They often endured brutal torture for not renouncing Falun Gong and were forced to work without pay. Mr. Li Dechuan was once held in solitary confinement, hung up by the wrists, and forced to wear heavy shackles. The guards repeatedly shocked him with electric batons. While the brothers were jailed, their wives faced tremendous pressure to care for their children and provide for their families.
Mr. Li Yunchun is currently suffering from blocked arteries and extremely high blood pressure. Despite his condition, the prison authorities of where he is held in Hubei province have repeatedly denied the 73-year-old man's medical parole request. Mr. Li is serving 7.5-year term for his faith in Falun Gong. He was arrested 8 years ago alongside his wife, Pei Yushin, also a Falun Gong practitioner, and given a sentence of 4 years. The couple were arrested after being reported for handing out calendars with information about Falun Gong. At the trial, the couple's lawyer argued that his client's possession of Falun Gong books broke no law according to the notice issued in 2011 by the Chinese Publication Bureau that revoked the ban on Falun Gong books. Mr. Li once served as the president of a rehabilitation hospital and published over 20 academic papers. His wife was an award-winning oncologist who made breakthroughs in early-stage tumor imaging diagnosis.
Congressional hearing targets forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience. The U.S. Congress and Congressional Executive Commission on China, the CECC, held a hearing on state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting in China on May 14th. Speakers at the hearing condemned the regime for carrying out live organ harvesting, which targets Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, and other prisoners of conscience, and they called on the U.S. and international society to help bring this barbaric practice to an end. Representative Chris Smith, co-chair of the CECC, strongly censored the crimes of live organ harvesting, calling it murder masquerading as medicine. He also urgently called on the U.S. Senate to pass the Stop Forced Organ Harvesting Act. He said the House of Representatives has twice passed this legislation with overwhelming bipartisan support, the most recent being last year when H.R. 1503 was passed 400-1, but the legislation is still languishing in the Senate. The bill would criminalize forced organ trafficking, impose serious sanctions on perpetrators, require reporting, deny visas, and create penalties of up to 20 years in prison and fines up to $1 million for those who take part in such atrocities. Sam Brownback, former ambassador-at-large for international religious freedom and former Kansas governor, said in his speech that while congressional members and those who have been paying attention to human rights issues for a long time have decades of knowledge of the CCP's forced organ harvesting, the public is not familiar with these topics. He said he met with Miss Miri Gul Torsun, a survivor of a forced labor camp for Uyghurs, on the previous day. She was detained by the CCP and brutally tortured. Toward the end of her incarceration, she was told, "You can pick the way you die, shoot you 3 times with 3 bullets, and we're going to charge you for the bullets a large sum of money. Or you can sign your life and your organs away." Mr. Brownback said religious groups persecuted by the CCP are the main victims of live organ harvesting. Among them, Falun Gong practitioners are systematically catalogued based on biometric markers and are murdered for their organs. He said that this is being done to the Uyghurs as well. Author of the recent book, Killed to Order, Yen Yakilik, said in his testimony that the live organ harvesting system established by the CCP is systematic and industrialized to supply a multi-billion-dollar transplant industry. Mr. Yakilik said that since the CCP began persecuting Falun Gong in 1999 and listed Falun Gong practitioners as targets that must be eradicated, this paved the way for the, quote, kill-on-demand system of live organ harvesting. Large numbers of Falun Gong practitioners who refused to give up their belief were illegally detained and killed to order for organs. He added that in recent years the CCP has extended this atrocity to the Uyghur population as well. Writer and researcher Ethan Gutman has conducted investigations into organ harvesting by the CCP for many years and also testified during the hearing. In recalling testimonies by many key witnesses, Mr. Gutman said that a Chinese doctor once admitted in the early years of their investigation that all the organs come from Falun Gong practitioners. He also mentioned that similar things happened in Xinjiang concentration camps, where large numbers of Uyghurs are incarcerated. He called on the U.S. to pass the Stop Forced Organ Harvesting bill as soon as possible to stop this ongoing human rights atrocity.
Audiences worldwide offered highest praise for Shen Yun. Shen Yun's 8 touring companies presented nearly 740 performances in 172 cities and 20 countries across 5 continents. Over the past 5 months, the company's 2026 season will conclude with performances in Toronto in June, which were rescheduled from March and April after the theater received bomb threats. Audience members who saw performances at the end of April into May expressed tremendous enthusiasm for Shen Yun. Mexican Senator Juanita Guerra Mena saw Shen Yun and presented a formal recognition to the company at their performance in Mexico City on May 3rd. The senator said she respects all cultures and believes that we are all connected to a supreme being. She invited people throughout Mexico to experience Shen Yun and learn more about Chinese culture, and added that understanding and respecting different cultures allows people to recognize one another as brothers and sisters and to live in harmony and kindness. Sasha Hare, a member of the Hessian State Parliament, saw Shen Yun in Frankfurt, Germany on May 2nd. He commented, "It was beautiful, really, from beginning to end. Everything just fit perfectly. I think I will still be talking about it at home for days and weeks. From 1 to 10, I would say it's an 11. Julie Delaval, a former practitioner of French classical ballet, saw Shen Yun in Paris on May 8th. Miss Delaval said, "It was a wonderful discovery, very different from the French classical ballet I practiced myself." She called the dancers genuine elite athletes and said of the Shen Yun performance, "It's truly, absolutely beautiful." Shen Yun New Era Company presented 13 performances in Nishinomiya, Fukuoka, and Tokyo from April 28th through May 13th, concluding the company's 35-show Japan tour. Fubuki Takane, a former lead performer of the Takiazuka Revue's Snow Troupe, saw Shen Yun in Nishinomiya. She shared, "What stunned me was that all of the performers' physical abilities were extremely exceptional. Compared to ballet, Shen Yun's performance contained more dramatic elements and deeper meaning from fingertips to toe tips. Every detail was perfect," she said. Author and media personality Keiko Kawazo saw Shen Yun in Tokyo on May 13th. She saw a performance in the past and invited 8 friends to watch it with her this time. Ms. Kawazo said, "I think Shen Yun presented another side of China, the glory of real China. It's great." A Chinese tourist in Tokyo named Ms. Bai also saw Shen Yun that day. After reflecting on Shen Yun's mission to revive traditional culture, she offered, "Its significance is truly enormous. Anyone who watches it can feel the wisdom, strength, and righteous energy within the performance. This kind of power can overcome all negative things and unhealthy states of mind." A former program host at the Public Broadcasting Network, NHK, named Hikari Takayama attended a Shen Yun performance in Tokyo on the 13th with her husband, Tadao Fujimoto, who is president of a video production company. Ms. Takayama said, "It was truly a soul-stunning performance." She considered herself fortunate to have seen it. Mr. Fujimoto said, The cooperation between the graphics and performers was basically seamless, which was amazing. He also shared that he felt from the performance that as long as we maintain honesty and kindness, we will eventually be saved by the divine.
Thank you for listening to the Minghui Radio Podcast. For more information, including news about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China and experience sharing stories by practitioners around the world, please visit our website at en.minghui.org.